Did you know that in average, a person makes about 35,000 decisions per day? So from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed, they make 35,000 decisions. And every decision takes time, energy, and willpower. So at the end of the day, we tend to have a harder time making the right decisions, and that's called decision fatigue. The tricky thing with decision fatigue is that unlike physical fatigue, it's really hard to notice. Your body won't tell you, like you won't feel tired or anything. You'll just have a harder time making good decisions. Have you ever noticed that later during the day, like in the evening, we tend to have deeper conversations, like those midnight talks? That's actually because of decision fatigue. We're having a harder time deciding what to keep to ourselves, what to open up about. So we tend to just open up about more stuff. And while having those late night talks and opening up about a bunch of stuff isn't bad in any way, sometimes decision fatigue also has impact on our work and on our day-to-day life. The first and most effective way to reduce decision fatigue is obviously to reduce the number of decisions we make in a single day. And one of the good ways to make that happen is to create lists. So you use to-do lists and stuff like that. And you can make those the night before so that during the day you don't have to ever think about what you're going to be working on next. And you'll just have to follow your list. The general idea is to streamline our choices so that you're never just sitting there trying to think of what to do next and trying to make that decision. And just by doing that, you can drop a lot of decisions. A really good example for this is grocery lists. If you ever try to go grocery shopping without a list, you'll see it's a lot harder. You want to buy everything, and it's even harder if you're hungry. But now if you have a list, you just get in the store, you grab what's on your list, you pay, and then you get out, and that's it. I'm a huge fan of making my to-do list the night before, so that way when I wake up, I have almost no planning, or at least minimal planning to do, so I don't have to rely on my decision making of the current day. I do get some new stuff during the day, of course, but most of my days already planned, so I have more energy to make those good decisions. You could also have a system for decision making. There are tons of systems out there, like making a list of pros and cons, and there are also more complex ones that will help you make better decisions. I read about one not that long ago in a book called The Accidental Creative. I'm pretty sure the author took it from somewhere else, but I'm not 100% sure. And he had this graph where he would compare how important is a task against how urgent it is. And you'll see that stuff that's not urgent and unimportant, well, of course, you don't have to do them. And you want to focus on the things that are urgent and important. So that may be a new project that you're working on. It could be different things. But having that graph will really help you find what to work on next and where to set your priorities. I personally like to choose 3 highlights for my day. So those are 3 tasks that I absolutely want to get done. And I use this chart to find these 3 tasks. I don't always draw it down or whatever, it just stays in the back of my head and it helps me set my priorities. I can also set the other priorities afterwards with the same process. So I guess I want to work on this first and then I'll do the other things that are maybe less important, but I still want to get done. Considering that each and every single decision takes a certain amount of energy, it's no surprise that we tend to make our best decisions in the morning, and that's actually been backed by a lot of researchers. So you should try to make your bigger, larger decisions early in the morning when you're still fresh. You've done almost no decisions so far, and so you have more energy to make the best ones. The interesting thing is that the studies that they did on decision making in the morning or later in the day showed that it doesn't really matter if you're a night owl or if you're a morning person, which I thought was kind of surprising. We all tend to make better decisions in the morning, and we all tend to have some sort of plateau right after lunch, so in the afternoon. Let's say you're in the afternoon or in the evening and you have a big decision to make. Just sleep on it and make that big decision the next morning instead of doing it in the evening, where you might make a riskier or bad decision. We've talked a lot about perfectionism on this channel so far, and we're going to talk about it again. We want to avoid trying to make the perfect decision every time, because that's putting a lot of stress on ourselves, and perfection is like super thin line. So instead of aiming to make the perfect decisions every time, just try to find a good one. So that way you won't be losing a ton of time and energy in every single decision. And you also see that if you accept having made a good decision, you won't feel as much like remorse once you've done a decision. You won't be second guessing yourself as much, and you'll see that the entire decision making process will be a lot easier. There are of course times where you want to make sure that you're making the right decision, but it's extremely rare that if you don't make the perfect single best decision, you'll ruin everything. It doesn't really happen. So accept to make good decisions and stop aiming for perfect all the time. The next tip is to put as many decisions as you can on autopilot so that you waste no energy on these decisions. Let's take working out as an example. Let's say you want to work out 3 times a week for an hour every time or something like that. Instead of doing that, you could just try to go every single day. So that way you won't have to make the decision, because let's say you want to go 3 times a day and it's not Monday, and then you have to think, do I want to go today? Will I go tomorrow? Next day, same thing happens, and it becomes harder and harder to go. You'll lose your momentum, and if you just go every single day, you don't have any decision to make, you just go. The general idea is to create habits, because habits don't require any decision making, and of course the less decision you make, the more energy you have to make those bigger decisions. There are even people like, if you think about Steve Jobs, who was always wearing the same outfit, who was always wearing a black turtleneck with jeans. There are a lot of people who do that, actually just have the same set of clothes, like 7 sets, and they just wear the same thing every single day, so they don't have any decisions to make in the morning. If you want to learn more about building habits, check out this video that I made on hacking the habit loop, and let me know down in the comments or by leaving a like if you want, if you enjoyed this video, and we'll have a good day.